Hello traders, welcome to another weekend report. As always, we're going to start out with ES and get right to it. So markets have been nothing but chop lately, just how we've been talking about. As you can see, every day up down within the same range. We broke highs here, broke lows here. Overall, still within the same range. We did have some bullish intentions, so to speak, on Friday. The entire index went up for 3 hours there, which made an RBR at 34.47, bottom end 34.43 level. Outside of that, not really much to say, and that's simply because we are in tech earnings, the biggest earnings. I mean, this week is just jam-packed of earnings. So honestly, that throws a wrench into technicals and seeing as to what the direction is going to be, because some of the heavy hitters have earnings, and that's what's going to decide direction, basically. So do keep this demand in mind here. We have a lower high below supply right here, so we're not broken out just yet. If you can see this hourly drop, base drop right here. However, if we break out above here and hold, then we could possibly run to 3,500 and beyond. As far as market makers, they have 347 puts shorted, while 349 calls are short as well. So again, even the option chain is pricing in some more chop potentially. The odd item that sticks out, however, is a handful of 350 and 357 calls for SPY that are long for this week, as well as puts from 341 down to 335. So even the option chain is saying it's anyone's guess, it's anybody's game. That's just how ERs work. That's what we got, honestly. As far as dark pools go, above we got 349.35, 357.93, 358.06, and below we have 342.01, 340.5, and 340.28. So those are some dark pools, and we're gonna list them. Those are some dark pools to watch out for. This is a demand area to watch out for. This is a supply area. Those are your immediate concerns upon Sunday opening. Looking at the VXX, it too is in a range, and interestingly had this jump after hours. It's still under this base drop right here, so it's still not broken out by any means. As long as it stays under this level right here, it's under supply. Demand is right here. The trend is kind of broken, so we would need to get over this and hold for us to see any bullish action. As you can see, I'm gonna remove these, but honestly, it's anyone's game with earnings coming up. So do keep an eye on the VIX. Do keep an eye on VXX. If it reaches here again, it could break out, and if it breaks the trend here, then it could go lower. So keep an eye out for both scenarios, both equally as important. Like we always say, always keep the upside and the downside in mind. Looking at it on the daily, nothing has changed in the past week. So I mean, huge short selling pressure right here, huge buying pressure right here. This is an impulsive candle. That's why it even caught a bid again. So if this gets broken, I think it's easy to say that if this gets broken, we will go lower on VXX, because this is the impulse candle. That's where the buyers stepped up again, as you can see. Moving on from that, we got Facebook. So Facebook, for the past few weeks, we've been seeing market makers kind of swoop up 305 calls in anticipation to Facebook beating. That being said, a handful of contracts, 290, 295, have been closed off. No new puts have been open on the tape, indicating the market is still bullish, especially after the massive beat by Snap earnings. Well, bullish on Facebook, rather. There is still this gap to close below, so do keep that in mind. However, this is very much an impulsive move up right here. So if it holds above 300, is definitely not out of the question. Earnings coming up 10/29. That's gonna throw a wrench in things. All things considered, market makers for now are pricing a run/ER beat on Facebook, which, if what we know about their sales and marketing and how much money has been put into that division, then that could come true. So moving on from that, we have Amazon. Amazon, explosive run Friday. Lots of buyers stepping up. Let me remove these. Lots of buyers stepping up on Amazon on Friday. Looking at the technicals right here, we are in a daily base drop. These are all impulse candles, by the way. This is an impulsive candle. This is an impulsive candle. This is the base. We are coming into it. If we break above 3260, then we can run, but we could reject this and go much lower. There's not much movement by market makers that we're seeing on the tape last week, aside from a previous large bet of in the money 3,000 calls for June 2021. Retail traders gambling, trying to take 3480 calls, which are priced at 20 for a move to 3500, which kind of tells me that that move is largely priced in should it happen. We do not think the Amazon ER is worth taking. As far as dark pools, we have 3493 above, 3496, 3499. Below we have 3132, which is right here at the bottom of the base, and 3108, which is just a little bit lower right here in this base rally. Do keep this level in mind. Should we break out and hold this can run. Should we reject it, it can break the bottom and go lower. Now we're gonna go on to Boeing. Overall, a bit of a disappointment. I mean, a bit of a disappointment is being really, even lenient with what Boeing is doing here. But expectations were to see Boeing breach 170 and continue to rally. But for whatever reason, every time Boeing hits 170, it's like they come out with some news that kill it back down. It just plunges. Earnings are coming up this week. Market makers not impressed. It may just end up being sideways. 170 and 177.5 calls have been shorted, indicating not much bullishness is present. 165 puts are long for a drawback down. What's interesting, however, is that November 200 calls are long and January 235 calls. 170, then we could see this monster run. Let me just divert your attention to something here. You see this right here, boom, comes back, gets accumulated. This is the same thing. So this is either accumulation or distribution. You see the pattern? It's going back and forth, back and forth. So this is either accumulation or distribution, similar to this. How do we know which one is going to be? It's the same thing as here. Look what it did. Broke out, came back to test, held, went up. That's exactly why we're talking about 170 here. We want it to break out, come back and test, hold, and then perhaps it can hit the old highs, maybe even more. Watch on Boeing, 170 above. This gap right here is a rally-based rally, so 160, 165 on the low end. No dark pools. After earnings might be a worthy pickup. And last but not least, we have this. This is a blowout. It was an unbelievable blowout for earnings. new all-time high after new all-time highs all week long. Essentially, market makers are very bullish and see a lot more potential out of Snap this week, with calls long all the way to 50 for October 30th and 55 calls long for January. Needless to say, that's a lot of upside. There is a rally-based rally right here on the daily. This gap below, we don't really think it's going to get filled anytime soon because this is an explosive gap, so it should stay. But however, always, like we say with gaps, when you go into the hourly, there is price action. So there is a rally base rally right here, rally base rally right here as well. So should Snap retract into one of these levels, or even here 42.4, we think that it could be a valuable pickup for a long swing. And that's about all we have right now. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate as always, ask in the server, and we'll see you Monday.